Shane Van Hamburger winning the race. So I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on this. Do you think it makes NASCAR look bad that a first-time guy in NASCAR goes out there and wins a cup race?
I don't think it makes the drivers or the series look bad. I think it makes the car look bad. Well, not even necessarily bad. Just it's obviously not a stock car anymore. Which, to be fair, the V8 supercar was always the closest thing to a NASCAR stock car. It always has been.
I mean, I'm not 100% sure about, but Marcus Ambrose, when he raced it, I know it was the Busch Series or Xfinity, whatever you want to call it, Nationwide Series. But I don't know if he won his first start, but his first road course start, I
very competitive.
think he might have won or maybe finished top 2 or 3 or something.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the question. He came from V8 supercars as well.
But this is the first time somebody has won in their first race since like 1950 something. 63. He
was Tim Flock.
Yeah, something like that. It was the last time somebody won in their first start, and
it'd be one of us. We got a chance one day.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, put me in that 77. I got to go win the race. It's I'm conflicted because half of me's like, well, that's embarrassing. You know, it's like somebody showing up and just showing you out. And just doing.
It's like
you do this every day for a living, and somebody shows up and just beat your ass.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like our next door neighbor. He goes out there and races with us, and he goes out there and beats us.
Never done it before. It'd be embarrassing, right? If I was a cup driver, I would be embarrassed. But from the outside looking in, I don't think it's that big of a deal because this is what this guy does. This is his thing. He doesn't go out there on an oval. If he shows up at Atlanta this weekend, he runs fucking 35th.
Well, it's kind of...
Well, maybe not, but... If he shows up in Michigan or Texas or Martinsville, he's not going to be good just because it's not what he does. And that's the same for one of our guys. If, for whatever reason next year the V8 Supercar says, hey, we're running an oval, and
Kyle
Larson says, you know what? I'm getting in that race. Kyle Larson's going to have a pretty good chance of winning that race. So when you look at it from that aspect, this is what that guy does. He races street courses in big, heavy cars, and he fucking whoops ass. He's got 80 V8 supercar wins.
He's won back-to-back championships.
That's a fucking shit ton of wins. That's Jimmy Johnson level wins. That's Jeff Gordon level wins.
No, not yet. Don't compare him to the GOAT.
How many does he have? 93. That's a lot of fucking wins, and my boy's still got a season left, so he could get to Jeff Gordon level wins in the V8 Supercar ranks. But this is what he does. He runs these big, heavy stock cars on these street courses, and he whoops ass at it. And he's done it before. He's got a ton of experience doing it. He's got a ton of experience racing in the rain, and none of the Cup Series guys really do. Michael McDowell had some. A.J. Allmendinger's got some, but that's it. Those are the only two guys. And when you put them in a competitive car, like that 91 car is, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought about picking him.
Well, we got a rule you can't pick just one-off guys.
When did that rule come into play?
I said that when we first started picking.
Sure. Well, it doesn't matter. I didn't pick him. But I just
think that's unfair. It's like, that's not... You can just use them, and it doesn't really count against you because he's never racing the rest of the year. I think that's bullshit.
Fair. But I thought about him. I thought about him being competitive, especially when I saw him in practice, and he ran third in practice and qualified... or second in practice, qualified third. I thought he was going to be a handful. I thought he'd get bullied, like most guys do.
I did, too.
And, but he was just too fast. I mean, he got passed because he let guys pass him. That's the only reason anybody got by him. He was obviously the fastest car to me all day. Other than maybe that first stage, I think Reddick was probably the fastest car. But I think
Reddick and Bell.
And Bell.
They
But
were all three very
I
close.
think the 91 was just driving. I think he was probably racing
Maybe
about
we'll
75% all day until he needed to go get Chase Elliott and go get Christopher Bell, and he got both of them in a lap.
Until when they shortened the race and he had to pit with everybody else. But he's the one that drove up there and passed everybody.
The only one. Kyle Larson got through there a little bit, but
I mean, he finished fourth.
But
That's what I hate. I mean, yes, I understand. Listen, I know I do not like Toyota, and they were very fast. They probably were the best manufacturer. I know Chevy finished 1 through 5, but a lot of that was strategy with Justin Haley and Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch. But if a guy that's first off doesn't race this series ever, he's on the same strategy as you, and he drives up through the field unlike you, and you're still gonna bitch about the race getting short, and that's why you lost the race.
Who said
That's
this?
fucking excuses. That's excuses.
Did Kyle say something?
Who? Kyle.
Who specifically?
Christopher Bell, Adam Stevens, Tyler Reddick, and his crew chief Billy Scott
I didn't
or whatever.
see any of that.
They were bitching about the strategy and all that stuff and how they just got fucked or whatever.
Well, it sucks.
But
I
then
agree.
you go out there and both of y'all make mistakes
But
late
yeah,
in the
you
race.
both put it in the fence.
Both
so
put it in the damn tire barrier.
If you would have run 25th because you couldn't pass anybody, that's one thing. But
the guy that's on your strategy literally came through the field and won the race. Then another guy who probably was close to he's probably a top 5 car, Kyle Larson all day. He probably wasn't as good as y'all two though. He drove up there and got top 5 at the end of the day.
you can't do that.
While y'all were fucking, I'm just saying, like, I got mad at Chase, not Chase. I got mad at NASCAR back in 2021 when Chase was about to win the Daytona road course, and they threw a phantom caution for rain, and next restart he gets fucking spun out, and I was upset about it. That's a little different. That was NASCAR throwing a phantom caution, then him just kind of getting fucked over on a restart. But I could say he should have got a better restart.
Did you get mad at NASCAR when they didn't penalize him for having his bumper cover hanging off?
They gave it back to him for fucking him over at Daytona. I think that's a conspiracy theory that I have.
Yeah. Did you get mad at them when they didn't penalize him for blocking Kevin Harvick when he was 3 laps down?
There's nothing in the rule for that.
Oh, manipulating the race or race manipulation.
Now there is.
It's been in the fucking rule book for 30 years.
His car was tight after the tire.
Where's that 4 car? I'm gonna help out my teammate. Didn't pretty much said that on the radio.
He said, "Where's that 5 car out? 5 car."
No, whatever. But anyways, no, I don't think it's a bad look for NASCAR. I think this is what he does. When you look into it, we probably should have seen this coming. Yeah, I mean it's just it's that simple. When this is what you do for a living, and you show up with a bunch of guys that don't do this every week, and you're in a good car, you should probably win the race, and he did.
I'm a little conflicted like you because a part of me says like, yeah, I know he's done this his whole life. Shane has, and he's a hell of a race car driver, one of the best in V8 supercar history. And we're going to a track that we've never even come close to racing at before, as far as the Cup guys go. So it makes me be like, yeah, I understand it, but at the same time, man, he's never been in one of these Cup cars. And but I've said that the brakes on these cars are so much better than the old cars that you could really drive it in a lot deeper than you could the old car, which helps these guys coming over from different countries in racing, because usually the brakes on their cars have always been better than the stock cars in NASCAR. NASCAR brakes have always been one of the worst as far as how far you can drive it in, because their stock cars they're not meant to do that. They're meant to go on fast ovals, fast super speedways, and drafting and aerodynamics and side drafting and all that stuff. And with this new car, you can just attack the track more. You can do what other guys around the world are more accustomed to doing. So having said all that, I think it's kind of a mix of both. Like, if I was a NASCAR driver, if I was Justin Haley, if I was Chase Elliott, I'd be kind of like, yeah, he had fresher tires than both of us, and he's in a pretty damn good car. Trackhouses, they just won last week, and now they just won this week, and the 99's been fast all year but he just can't finish races. So it's not like the team sucked, but it's not like like I said, he had a fast car. It's just I don't know, man. It just doesn't.
You got a fast car.
It just doesn't feel right for a first time to come in here and win. You know, it's like some goofball that plays hoops basketball down in the street over here goes out and fucking whoops ass in the NBA on an All-Star game or something. You know, it just doesn't quite feel right. I know it's different circumstances, but I think that worldwide, I think it helps NASCAR. You know, a lot of people around the world, especially in Australia, know Shane. And where's he from?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Like, that's huge. That's huge for New Zealand as far as NASCAR goes. You might get a few new fans. Now, is he racing the rest of the year, or that was his one and done?
He's not currently scheduled to race anything, but he said that he would love to come race in America full time after next year.
Okay, so
2024.
Well, I was just saying that because, like, if we get a more traditional road course, like if he went out and did this at Watkins Glen, I would be more embarrassed for NASCAR.
I don't think so. I don't think he does it at Watkins Glen because I think that's a track that all of our guys have a lot of experience on. That a track that he probably's never raced at before. If he has, he doesn't have the laps that our guys have on it. So I think he goes out there and he's probably competitive, but I don't think he's the fastest car. I don't think he wins the race. I think he runs top 10 just because of his talent, and that car is good enough to run there. But I don't see him being better than Chase Elliott or Tyler Reddick or the 17 or any of those guys that you expect to be at the front of these road course races. I just don't see him beating them, but he probably beats the other 30 guys, 25 guys that are not good at road courses. He's,
he'll beat Bubba Wallace.
He beat Bubba. He beat the 6. He'd beat Eric Almirola. He'd beat the 4. He'd beat a lot of those guys that just aren't road course racers, and that's fine. That's the way NASCAR was for years. You'd have road course ringers show up and run top 15 all the time and beat guys like Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson and these guys that just they didn't run road courses that weren't
Dale Jr.
It's not what they did, and that's fine. Well, at least it was fine back then because you didn't run 8 of them a year.
Yeah, you don't 2 of them.
Yeah, so now I think that our guys are good enough at road courses that this doesn't happen. If this was a
clean
I think
track.
I think if this Chicago street course happens next year and he shows up, I don't think he wins the race.
With a year experience of all our guys?
Yeah, I think when they come back next year, I don't think he beats these guys.
I think it was just kind of
it's
a perfect storm.
Yeah, perfect storm. Perfect circumstances for him.
So part of me,
but I do think he's good enough to have a shot. I think if they fire Ty Dillon and they put him in a car, I think he'd run just as good at ovals. I mean, you can't really do any worse, and he could go out there and be competitive at the road courses at least.
Yeah.
But I would love to see a guy like him back in the series. I love Marcus Ambrose. I like when these guys that come from other disciplines come in. I root for them. I was rooting for him at the end of the race. I texted you with like 15 to go, and I said, I think this guy's going to win the race, and he ended up winning the race.
Well, wasn't that big of a damn
He was running
statement.
third, and he was like a second and a half behind the 9 car.
That's what I'm saying. He was fucking flying. I was like, oh, yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
But, yeah, so I like when guys – I like when the underdog wins. I know he wasn't really an underdog, but he was unexpected to win the race. So I think it's always good when a non-expected winner wins, unless it's like fucking Ty Dillon or something.
So let's say this. Let's say this is hypothetical, but is it kind of the same situation? So if Kyle Larson, he's racing the Indy 500 next year. If he goes out there and wins the Indy 500 next year, does that make the IndyCar drivers look bad? Because Kyle Larson's is raced on the Indianapolis Speedway before, the oval.
Yeah.
So he has some experience, but not like experience that all these other guys do.
Yeah, I think it makes him look worse than SVG winning this race makes NASCAR drivers, and that's just because the car is so different. Kyle doesn't have any experience in that kind of car in an open-wheel asphalt oval, to my knowledge. I don't know if he's run some asphalt sprint car stuff. I don't know. But it's totally different to what he does on a normal weekend.
Well, I will say this. I think when NASCAR did the 550 horsepower package for a while, a couple years, I think that's going to help them. Because
Sure.
you're almost wide open. It's
Sure.
just you're going a lot faster in these Indy cars.
Yeah, Kyle's biggest issue is not going to be speed; it's going to be consistency.
Yeah.
And
And we've seen
fast.
him make mistakes in the Cup Series a lot.
He'll be fast, but him getting it now. Kurt ran sixth there when he ran it. That's the best anybody has done in a double, in to my knowledge. I think Kyle Larson is a good enough race car driver to go out there and win the race. I think he's better than every driver in the IndyCar series.
Isn't Kimi Räikkönen doing the Trackhouse 91 at Watkins Glen again this year?
He probably is.
And he was running top 10 for a little bit until he got taken out.
So I love this. I love drivers driving everything. If you think back to the peak of motorsports in 60s to 80s, worldwide motorsports. I'm not talking NASCAR, but when motorsports was at its peak as far as intrigue and all-out driver talent. You had guys like A.J. Foyt and Mario Andretti. They ran IndyCar. They ran NASCAR. They ran Formula One. They were Formula One world champions coming over to run IndyCar, and then they'd come over to run the Daytona 500. You had guys running dirt. You had, everybody drove everything. You got in everything. And that's what I think racing should be. You shouldn't be, I drive NASCAR and this is all I drive. Motorsports fans should be motorsports fans. You should watch everything. And guys
don't. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I know you don't, and I don't either. But that's because you go over to watch IndyCar or Formula One, and it's all foreign guys that you have no connection to, that you never see.
Hey, we got Logan Sargent.
All
now.
those, and he runs last every week.
That's true.
And all this pomp and circumstance and the racing sucks. But if Kyle Larson hops in a car, I guarantee you watch it.
I'll watch it. Yeah.
If Lewis Hamilton hops in that Project 91 car at Watkins Glen, I guarantee you all the F1
all the
fans
Europe fans will watch it.
They're
yeah.
watching it. And I don't know how many IndyCar fans don't watch NASCAR. I bet there's a bunch of crossover there, but I know a lot of NASCAR fans don't watch IndyCar. When Kyle Larson goes to, I guarantee you the Indy 500 will be the most watched Indy 500 in the last 15 years when Kyle Larson gets in that car, because every single NASCAR fan is going to watch that race, see how he does.